David Chen's voice on the phone was careful, measured. "Thomas, I need you to come to my office today. It's about Marcus." My hand tightened around my coffee mug. Marcus Webb had been dead for 2 months. Cancer. 67 years old, gone in 6 weeks after diagnosis. We'd been friends since college. Business partners for 20 years. Best man at each other's weddings. I'd spoken at his funeral. Held his wife Linda's hand at the reception. Couldn't sleep for weeks after. "What about Marcus?" I asked. "He left something for you. A package. With very specific instructions that I wasn't to give it to you until today. Exactly 60 days after his death." David paused. "Thomas, he made me promise. Said you'd understand why when you saw it." I drove to his office in a daze. The September morning was crisp, leaves just starting to turn. At 65, I'd thought I was done with surprises. My life had settled into a comfortable routine after the chaos of the tech industry. I'd sold my company 5 years ago, retired, wealthy, spent 2 years traveling before my first wife Catherine died suddenly of a stroke. Then came the dark years, the loneliness, the empty house, until Vanessa. I'd met her at a charity gala 4 years ago. She was 42, beautiful, attentive. Her son Kyle was 19 then, studying business. She'd been divorced, struggling, and I'd been drowning in grief. We married after a year. Marcus had been the only one who seemed hesitant, but I'd written it off as him being overprotective. Now he was gone. David's secretary showed me into his office. He stood, shook my hand, then pulled a small package from his safe. A USB drive in a sealed envelope with my name written in Marcus's distinctive handwriting. "He recorded this 3 weeks before he died," David said quietly. "He was very clear. Watch it alone, then call me." I drove home. Vanessa was at her book club, wouldn't be back until evening. Kyle was supposedly at his apartment near campus, though I paid the rent and never saw him actually attend classes. I went to my study, locked the door, and plugged in the USB. Marcus's face filled the screen. Gaunt from the cancer, oxygen tubes in his nose, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "Tom," he said, using the nickname only he used, "if you're watching this, I'm gone, and I need you to listen carefully. I need you to trust me one more time, like you did when we started the company with nothing but student loans and a dream." He coughed, took a breath from the oxygen. "Your wife Vanessa and her son Kyle are planning to kill you." I hit pause, stared at the screen. This was insane. Marcus had been on heavy pain medication those last weeks. This had to be some kind of delusion, some paranoid fantasy brought on by the drugs. But Marcus's voice had been steady, clear. I pressed play. "I know what you're thinking, that I was doped up, seeing things. I wish that were true, brother. But I spent my last good weeks having Linda's nephew, you remember Jake, the private investigator, look into some things that had been bothering me. What he found." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What he found is on this drive. Documents, recordings, photos, everything you need." He leaned closer to the camera. "Vanessa married you for your money, Tom. Only your money. She and Kyle have done this before. Her first husband, the one she said left her for another woman, he's dead. Fell down the stairs in their home 6 months after changing his life insurance to make her the beneficiary. Ruled an accident. The husband before that died of a heart attack at 46, 3 months after their wedding. Also had just updated his insurance." My mouth went dry. "I couldn't prove those deaths were murder, but I can prove what they're planning for you. Open the folder labeled Current Plot. Jake got audio recordings. Kyle is an idiot. He talks on his phone like nobody can hear him. They've been buying life insurance policies in your name, forging your signature. They have someone who's going to make it look like a home invasion gone wrong. It's supposed to happen next month, sometime in October." Marcus coughed again, his face twisting in pain. "The second folder has their financial records. Vanessa's been moving money from your accounts to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Small amounts you wouldn't notice, but it adds up to almost 200,000 over 3 years. She's careful, patient, but she's getting ready to run after you're gone." He wiped his eyes. "I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry I can't be there to help you through this. I'm sorry I didn't push harder when you were dating her. I saw something was off, but you seemed happy for the first time since Catherine died, and I thought maybe I was just being overprotective." His voice broke. "Take this to the police. To David. Protect yourself. And Tom, don't let them know you know. Not until you're ready. These people are dangerous." The video ended. I sat in the dark study for an hour. My mind replayed the last 3 years. Vanessa's attentiveness when we first met. How quickly she'd moved into my house. How she'd encouraged me to update my will, to consolidate my accounts for easier management. The way she always pushed me to take the vitamins. She bought special ones, she said, for men my age. The vitamins. I went to the bathroom, found the bottle, opened it. The pills looked normal, but Marcus's words echoed, "Don't let them know you know." I took a photo of the pills, dumped them in a Ziploc bag, replaced them with similar-looking vitamins from the drugstore. Then I opened the folders on the USB drive. Jake Rodriguez had been thorough. There were audio recordings of Kyle talking to his girlfriend about the old man and how they'd be rich soon. Photos of Vanessa meeting with a man Jake identified as Raymond Torres, a convicted armed robber who'd been released from prison 8 months ago. Bank records showing the offshore transfers. Forged insurance documents, 3 policies totaling $5 million, all taken out in the last 6 months. And the most damning, a recording of Vanessa and Kyle in my own kitchen, talking while they thought I was out playing golf. Kyle's voice, "Mom, are you sure this is taking too long? It's been almost a month of the pills." Vanessa, "These things take time. We can't make it obvious. The digitalis builds up slowly. It'll look like heart failure. A man his age, no one will question it. But if Torres gets impatient and does something stupid, he won't. You're paying him enough." After Thomas is gone, we split the insurance and the estate. The house alone is worth $3 million. Then we disappear. New names, new lives. "Kyle, you're 22. You'll never have to work a day in your life." I'd heard enough. I called David Chen. "You watched it," he said when he answered. "All of it. Is Jake Rodriguez still available?" Marcus kept him on retainer until the end. "I have his number." Jake arrived at my house 2 hours later. He was mid-30s, sharp-eyed, moved like someone who'd seen combat. We sat in my study, and I told him what I wanted. "We need more evidence," I said. "Enough that they can't talk their way out of it. And I want to catch Torres too. I want all of them." Jake nodded slowly. "The pills she's giving you. Let me take those to a lab I know. If it's digitalis, like they said, that's attempted murder. The forged insurance documents are fraud. The offshore accounts are theft. But catching Torres in the act." He thought for a moment. "We'd need to set a trap. Get him to incriminate himself." Over the next week, I became an actor in my own life. I smiled at Vanessa over breakfast, took the fake vitamins, grimacing like they tasted bad, complained about feeling tired, let her fuss over me, suggest I see a doctor, all while Jake's team worked. The pills came back positive for digitalis, enough to cause heart problems, maybe death, over time. The bank records were analyzed. Vanessa had stolen $230,000. The insurance policies were confirmed forgeries, my signature expertly faked. But we needed Torres. Jake proposed a plan. We'd set up surveillance in my house. Then I'd leave for what Vanessa thought was a weekend trip to visit my daughter from my first marriage. She lived in Seattle. Instead, I'd stay at a hotel nearby. If Marcus's information was correct, Torres would make his move while I was supposedly gone. "It's risky," Jake warned. "If something goes wrong..." "Marcus risked his last weeks alive to protect me," I interrupted. "I'm not walking away now." I told Vanessa I was flying to Seattle Friday morning. She seemed excited, encouraged me to stay the whole weekend, spend time with my daughter. Kyle happened to drop by that Thursday night. Unusual for him. They were both very solicitous, very concerned about my health. Friday morning, I drove to the airport, parked, then took an Uber to a hotel 10 miles from my house. Jake had installed cameras in every room, hidden microphones. We sat in a surveillance van, watching. Vanessa moved fast. By noon, Torres was in my house. Jake's camera caught everything. Vanessa handing him cash, showing him where my bedroom was, discussing how to make it look like a burglary. Torres was a large man, tattooed, cold-eyed. He walked through my home like he was planning a military operation. "We do it tomorrow night," Vanessa said. "He'll be tired from the trip back. Kyle will establish an alibi. He'll be at a party with 50 witnesses. I'll be at dinner with my book club. Raymond, you come in through the back door around 10. Make it look like you were searching for valuables. He surprised you. You panicked. Just make sure he doesn't suffer. I don't hate him. He's just in the way." Torres laughed. "Lady, for 200 grand, I'd make it look like an accident if you want. No, it needs to be a burglary. Clean. Simple." I watched this woman I'd shared a bed with for 3 years discuss my murder like she was planning a dinner party. Jake's hand was on my shoulder. "Steady. We have enough," he said quietly. "More than enough." That afternoon, Jake contacted Detective Sarah Morrison, a homicide detective he'd worked with before. By evening, we had a plan. Saturday evening, I returned from Seattle. Vanessa greeted me with a kiss, asked about my daughter. I told her about the wonderful weekend I'd had, showed her photos my daughter had actually sent from Seattle. She didn't know she was providing my alibi for a trap. At 9:30, I told Vanessa I was exhausted, going to bed early. She encouraged it, brought me tea. I poured it into the plant in my bedroom, then lay down in the dark. At 9:55, I heard the back door open. Footsteps, Torres moving through my house. Jake had positioned plainclothes officers in the house next door, in a panel van on the street. Detective Morrison was listening to every sound. Torres climbed the stairs. I heard him breathing outside my bedroom door. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he might hear it. The door opened. He was carrying a crowbar. "Thomas Brennan," he said softly. That's when the lights blazed on and Detective Morrison stepped out of my closet with her gun drawn. "Police! Don't move!" The next hours were chaos. Torres arrested, read his rights, officers flooding my house, Vanessa arriving home to find police cars in the driveway, her face when she saw me alive, standing in the living room, shock, then calculation, then fear. Kyle was picked up at his party. They brought him to the house in handcuffs. In my study, Detective Morrison played the recordings for both of them. Vanessa's face drained of color. Kyle started crying, blaming his mother, saying it was all her idea. She sat silent, composed. Even then, "I want my lawyer," was all she said. The next weeks unfolded like a nightmare in reverse. The DA charged Vanessa and Kyle with conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, insurance fraud, theft, and forgery. Torres, facing life in prison, made a deal and testified about everything. How Vanessa had found him through connections from her past. How she'd paid him to kill her first husband too, though they could never prove it. The investigation into Vanessa's previous husbands was reopened. What they found was chilling. 4 marriages, 2 dead husbands, both with suspicious circumstances. 2 divorces where she'd walked away with substantial settlements. She was a predator, patient and methodical, and I'd been her next mark. Kyle's testimony revealed that he'd known about his mother's plans all along, had participated willingly for his share of the money. He was 22 years old and had helped plan my murder as casually as someone might plan a vacation. At the trial 6 months later, Jake Rodriguez testified about his investigation. The digitalis pills were entered as evidence. The audio recordings played for the jury. Marcus's video was shown, his dying warning that had saved my life. Vanessa showed no emotion until the verdict was read. Guilty on all counts. Kyle wept. Torres just shrugged. Vanessa got life without parole. Kyle got 25 years. Torres got life plus 30. After it was over, I went to visit Linda, Marcus's widow. She was in her garden, tending the roses Marcus had loved. She was 70, elegant, even in grief. "He knew he was dying," she said quietly, "but he spent his last good weeks protecting you instead of resting. That's who he was." We stood there in the September sunshine, exactly 1 year after Marcus's death, and I cried for my friend, for the brother who'd saved my life when he couldn't save his own. I sold the house. Couldn't live there anymore. Couldn't walk through rooms where my murder had been planned. I bought a smaller place, donated most of Vanessa's stolen money to cancer research in Marcus's name. The rest I used to set up a foundation, The Marcus Webb Justice Fund, dedicated to helping victims of financial elder abuse. My daughter flew in from Seattle, stayed with me for weeks. We talked about my loneliness after her mother died, how I'd been vulnerable, how predators like Vanessa target people like me. She helped me heal. But the real healing came from purpose. The foundation grew. We helped dozens of people who'd been scammed by romantic partners, family members, caregivers. We funded investigations, provided legal support, ran education programs. Every person we helped, I thought of Marcus. A year after the trial, I was at the foundation's office when Jake Rodriguez called. "Thought you'd want to know," he said. "Vanessa tried to get a prison transfer. When it was denied, she told another inmate the whole story, about the husbands, the plans, everything. The inmate reported it. They're building cases against her in 3 other states now. She might never see the outside of a prison again." "Good," I said simply. That evening, I went to Marcus's grave. The headstone read Marcus James Webb, beloved husband and friend, 1958 to 2023. I sat on the bench nearby, watched the sunset. "You saved my life, brother," I said to the stone, "and you showed me how to save others. I won't waste the time you gave me." The wind rustled through the trees, and for just a moment, I could almost hear his voice. "Never doubted you for a second, Tom. I'm 66 now. I still run the foundation. Still help people who've been targeted by predators like Vanessa. I've learned to be more careful, more aware. I've also learned that the best tribute to a friend isn't grief. It's living in a way that honors what they believed in." Marcus believed in protecting people, in standing up for what was right, even when it cost him. His last act on earth was to protect me, and I've spent every day since trying to live up to that gift. The house I live in now is smaller, simpler. I have good security, vetted by Jake. I volunteer. I spend time with my daughter and grandchildren. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely, and I'm alive. Because of a USB drive, a best friend's love, and the truth that arrived exactly when I needed it most. Sometimes I still take out that USB drive and watch Marcus's video. Not the warnings about Vanessa. I've given all that to the authorities. But at the end, after the formal information, there was a personal message I've never shared with anyone. "Tom," Marcus says, his face tired but smiling, "we had a good run, didn't we? From broke college kids to millionaires, from bachelors to husbands and fathers. 43 years of friendship. I got no complaints, brother. None at all. So when I'm gone, don't you dare waste time mourning me. Live. Find joy again. But this time, be smart about it. Trust your gut, and if something seems too good to be true, call Jake. I've already paid him to keep an eye on you for the next 5 years." Marcus's laugh turned into a cough. When he recovered, his eyes were wet. "You're my brother, Tom. Not by blood, but by choice. And choice makes it stronger. So I'm choosing to spend my last bit of strength making sure you're safe. That's what brothers do. Now, go live for both of us. That's an order." The video ends with Marcus saluting the camera. That old gesture from our army days. Before the tech company. Before the money. When we were just 2 kids who had each other's backs. I kept that order. I lived. And every person the foundation helps, every scam we uncover, every vulnerable person we protect, that's Marcus's legacy too. Because true friendship doesn't end with death. It just changes form. It becomes purpose, protection, a promise kept. And I intend to keep mine for as long as I draw breath.